Sometimes when you find a good deal, you just can't pass it up. So on Facebook Marketplace, I found this 2012 Ford Focus with the 5-speed manual transmission with a bad engine. So I was able to borrow a truck and trailer, and I went and picked it up. Let's see what kind of carnage and what this project might end up being. For the Focus, we're out here in Pontiac getting an engine. So got the van prepped and ready. I think it was like 320 bucks. It's got 71,000 miles on it. Should be a pretty good deal. It's untested though. Car was smacked in the front. So I guess they didn't end up trying to start it. So it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully there's no issues with it. So get that loaded up. I got 1 or 2 more appointments to deal with today, and then I'll probably start throwing this in sometime early next week. All right, loaded up, ready to go. You guys probably saw the video of me towing this thing home. If not, I'll just put a little excerpt in right here. So this thing needs a motor. It looks like cylinder 3 has in fact left the chat. Got a new motor here. I'm gonna take the old one out, drop a few of the other components, swap those over, and get this thing bolted up. So this is a, this is a 5-speed manual. So these things are, the manual Focuses are the only ones to buy. The automatics all suck. And they're pretty economical for what they are. So an engine with 70,000 miles on it is 220 bucks for one of these cars, which is crazy. And that's really because there are so many of the automatic Focuses that are just garbage and kind of scrapped out due to transmission failures. So if you can find one of these manual ones with a bad motor, I'd definitely recommend picking it up. I paid 900 bucks for this car, and it should be a good runner for a little bit. So let's just jump right into it. Wheels pulled off, draining the last remaining little bit of the coolant out. So it's kind of crazy. I think I know why this motor may have popped. So this is where the coolant goes into the block, and then this runs over to the expansion tank. So the coolant level was below this. So it definitely was low on coolant. Make sure that's not going too far. Coolant bottle was also out of coolant, but as I was trying to remove the cap, it was all jacked and jammed in there. That I would hope would not be a factory Ford zip tie right there on that. So if I had to guess, it overheated and they just kept driving it, and a cylinder probably ended up seizing, but we'll dive into that after I get this motor in here. I'll just pop the head off and we can do a little show and tell and see what's there, what's not there. I have to pull off the CV axles. So this one runs in the back side of this engine all the way over to the transmission. So I'm going to take that hub nut out, remove that, remove the one on the other side. I have 1 or 2 more things of the wiring harness to do, which are on this side, probably pretty hard to get. Might end up doing those once this thing is like halfway out, because then it'll be at about eye level. Have to disconnect the manual transmission shifting links, if you want to call them that. Also the clutch feed line to the slave cylinder. And then we're about to bust this thing out. The more I kind of dive into this thing, I just have so many questions. Like, why does it look like this whole thing was underwater in a mud pit? I really don't know. It's got some weird undercarriage damage and hacked together exhaust. All I really care about though is that the motor and trans are good. So hopefully this motor is good. And then with a new clutch, should be good for a little while. We're almost ready to pull this engine out. I got a few bolts that are holding the lower ball joints in that are stuck. So I put some penetrating oil on those, and I'm just going to kind of let that do its thing before I hit it with an impact. Quickly, I'm going to throw the new rear main seal on. Thank goodness I bought one. I don't know how you guys can really see it, but yeah, there's oil splashed all over this thing from the old one failing. So might as well do it while you're in it, right? I mean, it's a $30 part versus, you know, installing something, it's leaking, and then you got to take the engine and transmission apart. So I'm going to throw that thing in there, try to get those bolts out, and then hopefully lift that thing right out of there. There we go, new one's in, old one's out. It's pretty easy to do this. Just put a little RTV at the bottom for just in case it doesn't leak between the oil pan. And yeah, that's about it. Just make sure you lube up the crankshaft before sliding it on. Bada bing, bada boom. All right, so upon first inspection, that is in fact what happened to cylinder number 3. Oh yeah, that thing is crunched in there. So I'm really curious to pull the rest of this apart and really see what it looks like, but that's gonna have to wait till after the new engine is in the car. Dang, look at that. Yeah, those are wedged in there. Let me grab a hammer. Get one of these out. Okay. Wow. So there's this, so you can see where the rings of the piston go. This thing hit some carnage. That's insane. It's so deformed. So I wonder if it had contact with any of the valves. See if I can get another chunk out of here. Oh yeah, you can see it hit valve pretty good right there. So this is more what it should look like. So here's where the pin goes. But yeah, this piece, whatever happened to that, it ate it. So I think that connects like that somehow. But yeah, that thing got eaten. So because the ding-dongs at Acme Auto Parts in Pontiac cut the fuel injector harness, I had to take the one from that engine. So it's crazy, like literally they could have left, I don't know, 6-7 inches more, and then they wouldn't have destroyed that. So because of it, I'm hoping this doesn't void my warranty, taking off the intake manifold, because there are some bolts that are painted. So hopefully not. Otherwise they'll definitely hear it from me. I got the transmission to pull off of that one, then that engine should be good. Alternator and all, wherever that stuff is. Oh wait, it's right there. Alternator and starter are here. I'm gonna put those in after I put the transmission on this engine and the new clutch. pulling that fuel rail off. I ended up also removing 1 or 2 injectors. I cannot believe, hopefully the camera will focus. I cannot believe how clogged these are. So these are direct injection injectors for the Ford 2-liter. Those things are caked closed. So probably why this thing ended up losing a cylinder from a failed injector shooting a solid stream of fuel. I'd also like to look at the intake valves. So I want to put these down and then let's turn the flashlight and look in those valves. All right, let's see what we got in here. Okay, yep. This is the one that had the cylinder missing. I don't know why it's not. Okay, it looks all right. That one looks okay, but I mean, these things are caked in carbon. I think cylinder 1 and cylinder 2 are the worst so far. That's gonna do it for day 1. So new clutch is in, alternators in, wiring harness for the injectors is in, and then tomorrow I'm gonna do the clutch slave cylinder on the transmission, and hopefully put all this thing, or all these parts and whatever, back together. Still, I can't believe the amount of mud and dirt in this thing. I've never seen anything quite like this. And then we'll tear down this thing, hopefully. Good night, y'all. Catch you tomorrow. Good morning. Not that great of a morning. I don't know how all this came out. That's pretty insane. I definitely want to inspect that oil pan, make sure nothing's broken down there, but that's a catastrophic failure right there. So I want to see, one, where that's coming from. Hopefully it's not the rear main or something of that nature, but yeah, I've got quite the mess ahead of myself to clean up. Goal for today is to get this thing in here. I think I'm gonna bring the engine through the top first and then scoosh the transmission up through that side. I really don't want to do this, but we're in it and we're just gonna throw her back together. Old engine, new engine. So this is a tight squeeze, but I'm gonna try to continue this to the top. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to take the whole front off. I really don't want to do that. So I'm gonna angle it, try to get this side of the transmission up under, and use the floor jack to then support it. Throw you guys on the camera holder deal, and y'all can see how I'm gonna attempt this. So I got a massive headache, don't really know what to do, but I want to get this car buttoned up. So I'm at US Auto again. Sterling Heights, gonna go grab that coolant reservoir and that connector for the oil pressure sensor. So it's a pretty light day, basically only need this thing, and I will see you guys inside. Definitely still feels like summer out here. Looks like I got some cool equipment. What is this thing? Interesting. Well, I saw the Focuses over here. Go pick out one of them, cut that sensor off, get that coolant bottle, and vamonos. All right, look at this, praise the Lord. Someone did the work for me already by taking the whole front off. So basically all I need is this little pigtail. Ooh, that one's also corroding. I guess it's a common issue. So I need that little loom right there. And then this thing, I'm gonna pop this thing off, see how it looks, and then if it's got no cracks, then I'll take it. Got that last missing link, exhaust manifold gasket. So I'm gonna throw this thing all together, and I will meet you guys with the first attempted startup. Hopefully it's got fuel in it and doesn't cause too much of a fuss. A little nervous, but just gotta send it. So we got the last few finishing touches for this one. Exhaust manifold gasket. I gotta clean the throttle body, throw that in there. Intake tubing, bleed the clutch, attach the exhaust manifold, plug in a few sensors, battery box, lights, but I can do those after we make sure this thing actually fires. I'm probably going to start with the exhaust manifold first, just to get that done. And then from there, throttle body, bleed the clutch, battery box, and so on. All right, and here we go for the first official start. Sounds a little funky. I think it's a exhaust leak. So it cranked up on the first key. It definitely had some air in the fuel system, which I assume that'll take a minute to work out of it. So I'm gonna go rip it down the road, see what happens. A little smoke off the exhaust header, but yeah, that's fine. Just from me spilling a bunch of stuff on it. Hopefully the clutch is bled enough. If not, we're not going too far. All right, let's see how that clutch feels. Ooh, that does not feel good. And it's not going in gear. So I'm just gonna shut it off, put it in gear, restart it, deal with it later. Oh wow, that's really bad. Nice, good job, Ford. Let her keep cranking even though you let go. So I'm gonna go back a little bit and try this again. All right, let the danger begin. I think I've turned enough. Well, that seemed to work. Coolant is burped. The clutch definitely needs to be adjusted, as it would not really grab any gears unless it was off. So I'll probably grab somebody to help me with that. Just get that last little bit of air out of there. Let's have the lights on, hood, and then I'll probably do an oil change sometime next week. So here we go as it sits. Everything is good enough for now. I'm gonna deal with that clutch probably in the next day or two, and then I will join you guys for an oil change and when I get that exhaust chunk fixed. So as always, have a good weekend. Catch you guys later.